Hi guys, and welcome to another Theoben video. Today I want to talk to you about PCP triggers. So a lot of people again have not seen all the different variations that you could get and the options. We've got pretty much all of them here. So starting from the top, this is the Gamo trigger unit set. Quite a nice trigger really, considering it's off the shelf, and you can slightly tune them, and they're much better when you do so. But they would simply screw in with a boss in the kind of back of the action. So Mark 1 action here, it sits in there, and then you've got a dowel which goes across the action to hold it at the front. So that's the first PCP trigger that they used, to my knowledge, in mass production. That's the Gamo trigger set. So with the Mark 1 action, which the Gamo trigger fits into, they did also do an FT model which had a laminated stock. This is an FT action which is the same as a normal Mark 1 action, but the difference is it's got the gold medal trigger in it. I don't really want to take this apart to show you it, but we'll do some close-ups of it. But it's a match trigger basically for the FT gun that they produced. So that's that one. And then they kind of moved on to the very, very nice Anschutz trigger set that was bought in from Anschutz. Absolutely amazing trigger this, but they can be problematic when you install them if you don't have the gun or the bolt cocked in its rear position. So many people have snapped the sear when they take the gun apart and don't cock the gun or pull the bolt back and then install the trigger. If you try and install it when the bolt is forward, you will snap the sear. Now, I've had lots of phone calls from people over the years asking whether we've got any of these sears or any of the components really, and they are like hen's teeth. Anschutz don't produce this trigger anymore. They do something similar, but it isn't identical. So if you're looking at one of these guns, the most important thing is do not take it apart unless you know what you're doing, because snap that sear and pretty much, unless you know a gunsmith who can make you a new one, the gun is useless, because you cannot put, again, without seriously modifying the action, you cannot put any other trigger unit in it. So I think when Theoben sort of fell out with Anschutz back in the day, they produced their own trigger, which was kind of inbuilt within the actions. Quite a tricky trigger to kind of work on in certain ways, because it's not like a cassette removable unit. You kind of have to build it in the gun. So this Rapid has got that trigger unit in it, and you can easily identify this trigger set with the sliding forward and back safety catch, which is there. But again, bit of a funny trigger this. I mean, they do work, but I don't think it was as popular as Mark 3 and Mark 4s, which are to follow. So that is, I'm not sure actually what they called it, but it is their own trigger unit in-house. So that's that one. Then they moved on to a removable cassette, which is this one here, which is what we call the Mark 3 trigger. This one has actually got a straight blade on it, but they did a curved, well, it was straight to start with, then a little kind of curve at the bottom. And then simply you've just got a push safety manual on and off. They work quite nicely. Really a nice little unit really, and just held with 2 dowel pins in the action, which makes them very easy to pop in and out if you get any dust or grit in the action. Don't be worried about just popping these out, because they go back in really easy. So that's what we call the Mark 3 trigger. And then they kind of moved on to what we call the Mark 4 trigger, which is the last trigger they produced. So this is a much refined more adjustable trigger. You've got several different grub screws. You've got trigger pull weight you can adjust. You've got first and second stage adjustment on this one. And it's still a manual safety, but it works really nice. And again, it's a cassette unit. You can drop it in and out. It runs the same dimensions as the Mark III. So the Mark III will fit in a Mark IV and vice versa. So they both will go in the Mark kind of 2 or Rapid Mark II actions, which is handy. I think with the straight trigger pull, there was actually a little curved shoe that went on it. I think, I don't think they would have left that straight like that. But yeah, that's what we call a Mark III trigger, a Mark IV trigger. And then you've got the in-house Theoben kind of manufactured one with a sliding safety catch. And then the Anschutz, which they bought in and fitted. I mean, I'm not sure on the numbers, but I don't think there's that many Rapids around. I did hear some rumours of around about 100 of these Anschutz triggered Rapids. So that's the Anschutz trigger. Again, it's very easy to identify because it's a side safety on that one. And then you've got the gold medal trigger in the Mark I, which is a cool bit of kit. Again, there's probably not stack loads of these around, but that's the gold medal trigger installed in a Mark I action. And then we go back to basics really with the Gamo trigger, which worked for them and tried and tested in the Rapid 7 over the years and still going strong. We've got loads of spares for these, but the actual units are not very expensive anyway, so pretty much you can just throw the old unit away if it's broken and then just pop a new one in. So there we have it. They are all the PCP trigger units.